Are there any nominations for chair?
I'd like to nominate David King.
I'll second that nomination.
Yeah, second. Are there any other nominations? No? All in favor for David King being chair? All right, congratulations, David. The floor is yours.
I would entertain nominations for vice chair.
I nominate Jason Shaw.
Is there a second?
Jill, second.
Those in favor?
You-
Okay.
I watched that.
All right. So we got that out of the way. Approval of minutes of the previous meeting of 1/18/25.
I move
I was not at that meeting.
no, and I would move the minutes be approved as written.
Second.
Any corrections, deletions, or additions? Seeing none, those in favor? I abstained because I was not here. It's one of the 2 meetings I've missed in the last 14 years, but you guys wouldn't have wanted to be here that night. Selectmen's comments, Tom.
Just real quick, we thank you, Allison, for helping us submit the grant report for this resilience grant, which has now been sent in, and I presume they've been paid their leftover grant money.
Yes, they have.
We're supposed to hear in March about the next grant that we applied for, so that's it.
Allison?
Well, I'll thank Tommy for doing the bulk of that report. That was a grant that we got 2 years?
2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah. And then the other thing I was gonna mention is that I heard from Andrew Lardy from the Tedford Shelter, and as construction is going on anyway, they're interested, they're offering tours. If I can organize something, and then whoever can do it, could do it.
Sure.
For their new shelter. Okay,
That's it?
that's it.
Nothing.
Jason?
The only thing I had was Allison and I had said at the last meeting that we would start a small list of Spirit of America nominees, and we've got to, at some point, maybe even if it can wait till budget, we can confer. Okay,
Yeah.
does that sound right?
Yeah.
And we'll bounce some out. Kim had some ideas, maybe, whatever, we'll bounce some out and see what we can come up with.
Okay.
All right, that's it.
I have nothing tonight. Public comments. Now's the time to talk to us about anything that's not on the agenda. If it's on the agenda, please wait for it to come up. Debbie?
Just to say that I had a closer than I would want encounter with the work of the fire department and the EMS and CMP and the sheriff's department, and was very impressed with the work that everybody did.
I'd like to publicly say happy birthday to Debbie today.
Yeah.
It's her birthday.
Happy birthday, Debbie.
Happy birthday, Debbie.
Did you bring cake?
We all have.
Did you bring cake?
Okay.
I believe in some cultures.
We're gonna bounce down to new business here for a second and listen to Michael Sutton from Bathwater District. Good evening, Mike.
He can't hear, so speak loud.
Mike, you're up. You're up.
Mike, you're up.
Okay. Apologize for not being several meetings. I had cataract surgery and one of them didn't go well, so we're dealing with that, but it's getting better, so that's a good thing. I can see. District is doing well. The year ended on a positive note. We had several issues during the year with the water. There was a water main break on Congress Street where we dumped 700,000 gallons a day into the river till we caught it. Evidently, we don't know why this main broke. It broke at the bottom of the fill, and they were paving on top of it. Whether that paving had anything to do with it or not, I don't know. But it took us a little while to figure out where it was. Once we did that, it was repaired by putting a pipe inside the broken pipe. The 8-inch pipe kept the pressure good. Volume was down a little bit, but sufficient for firefighting. We fixed that leak. There was a leak in the transmission line going from Bath, or from Woolwich to Bath, and fix that. So we've had two fairly sizable leaks. What the system does is been able to handle that. So if you get into a situation like you're in California where maybe you lost pressure, with our system it's designed as a gravity feed, so you're not dependent on pumping the water to the fire hydrants if you get a fire. And Stinson's is probably a good example of that. We were able to handle that fire. If anything happens, the treatment plant has a backup generator. It'll generate power for the pumps to fill the tanks in case there is a fire. But I think the system is adequately water available to handle any situation, whether we get anything like California or not. But more importantly is just to keep, so everybody knows that it is a high quality system as far as firefighting. The Middle Road project is complete after 2 years, thank goodness. Up and down the road, but DOT is going to pave that road in the spring or summer, this coming summer, Middle Road and also Route 1. The project was tested, fire hydrants were set, services were connected to that, and so it all went well. There was money left over. The money left over has to be spent in Woolwich, so we're going to do some service repair with the service lines to the commercial buildings that are across from Bath Sewer, probably in the spring. That needs to be done before Route 1 is repaved. So we're going to work on that. Not a lot of money left over, but there's enough to do some, small projects. So we'll work. Revenues with the Bath Water District are up. BIW seems to be pumping fresh water through their destroyers rather than the salt water from the river. So that has increased their revenue from environment. We're not doing anything in the watershed other than we've signed a contract with Anchorage Water and Standard Water Conservation District to do a review of the lake, review of the watershed to see what can be mitigated. We did this 10 years ago. 10 years ago, we put riprap into places where there was erosion to try to cut down, mitigate the erosion into the lake. That project is funded through the Conservation District. This 10-year this program will be funded through the Conservation District and help with the watershed and cut down the erosion. So that survey took place last week. I think what we're going to do is in the spring, see if we can get volunteers to help us with some of the reclamation projects in the watershed. If there's riprap that has to be put in to cut the erosion, different mitigation efforts to help keep the erosion or dirt, silt, whatever, coming into the lake. The water quality of the lake is good. We've been tested for P's, the chemical. That's come up negative every time. So we're in good shape as far as the P's report goes. Most of the lead and copper piping has been taken out of our system and been replaced. So that's that's a good thing. I think Nate, as superintendent, is focused on things he can do to help with Woolwich, and certainly thank him for his support for the things he's going to do for the district, for the town. So he's oriented on that, and the fact that he's confident of what we can do, and if we have money, so we can spend that and upgrade parts of the system. So I think all in all, the relationship is good. We're going to be working on projects in the summertime. Pipe replacement projects in Bath, and then this project on Route 1 in Town of Woolwich.
Thanks. Any questions from the board?
No, I don't think so.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Question from the floor.
What? Excuse me.
I was curious, I'd forgotten the last meeting regards to the fires in California, but I was curious if the water district is required to meet a certain minimum standard for pressure at the hydrants.
Did you understand that? He wants to know if we required to have a certain minimum standard of pressure at each hydrant.
Right. Well, I think we're satisfied with the minimum requirements of the system.
Because the last meeting, it sounded as though there was no minimum requirement needed because certain hydrants do not have pressure. There are certain hydrants that do not have enough pressure to be used by the fire company.
I don't think that's,
So,
I don't think that's
so-
accurate.
The pressure comes from the gravity feed.
Yeah.
And there's enough pressure based on that elevation of those tanks. The tanks feed the hydrants. So that hydrologically set up so that the water does flow.
But if there's enough corrosion in the piping that it's a small diameter, it doesn't have enough pressure. Apparently there's some hydrants that are in that situation.
Well, it's a difficult thing to compare exactly what happened in California to what we would possibly have here. But more importantly is the fact that we feel confident we're able to handle most anything. We did have that exercise with the Simpson plant that burned, and that was, we were able to handle that.
But, so I guess my question is there still a hydrant that doesn't have sufficient pressure in town?
I don't think that's the case. Obviously, a hydrant on a 16-inch main is going to have more volume available than a hydrant on a 6-inch main.
Right.
But you have to stop and think, the entire city of Bath is on 6-inch mains. There are no 16-inch mains on Middle Street in Bath or High Street in Bath or anything like that. So we have, I think, and Chief, bear me up if I'm wrong here, but I think we have adequate pressure at any hydrant in the town.
So
A residential line is not going to have the same volume available that a main, a 16-inch main is going to have. I mean, that's just...
So I guess I misunderstood then that there was a hydrant that wasn't usable.
No, the hydrant is usable. It's the volume doesn't meet what we would need it for a typical structure that we responded to on that street. So we already pre-plan ahead that we know we can get more volume out of the hydrant on the main. We always use the main if we need to. If it needs more than just the main, then we would tap into the other hydrant. But it's just different layouts, different pipe, knowing what they're all capable of.
For example, all the new hydrants on Little Road are all on a main, so they will all have tremendous amount of volume. But if somebody off the Middle Road decides to put water down through their entire subdivision, they're not gonna run a 16-inch main down into their subdivision. They're gonna run a 4 or 6-inch pipe down there. And they may have a hydrant down there, but it'll have the same pressure, but not the same volume.
Right, I understand volume and pressure. I guess I misunderstood that none of the fire hydrants in Woolwich are insufficient to be used.
No, so Tom, if you recall at the last meeting, I read an email from the water district and all the hydrants are working properly and there were none that were out. Since then, I have had a conversation with the superintendent, Nate Bodge, and he's more than happy if you and Michelle, if somebody wants to come over, he can get into a little more in-depth explanation of that. I think what you said, John, was you would analyze each fire situation as to what you need. And, you know, the fire that was on Hall Road that we were speaking of, the hydrant was actually beyond the fire, the most recent fire. And so you chose to come in from Route 1, use that, you got more volume, it's closer to the main. It's just the way but if you need a more in-depth explanation, he's more than happy for you to meet with you folks.
Apparently I misunderstood that I thought there was a fire hydrant that wasn't usable for fire.
I think that was a concern that you brought up, Michelle, right?
I thought it was broken.
Yeah, and then.
I know it broke during the
Yeah.
Johnny Walker fire.
Right, and I read that email out at the last meeting, that you're right, the main got broken, that was years ago, got corrected, but right now there are no non-working hydrants on your road or I think in Woolwich right now, there's none.
We even have a new hydrant that we didn't even ask for. They put it in at the end of the new bridge down here because they needed it to make a connection. And unfortunately, after the next round, we don't pay for it this year, but the next time they get a PUC increase, we're gonna have to start paying for a hydrant that we didn't even ask for.
Right. So there's still no minimum pressure required for a hydrant?
That hydrant's on a 16-inch main.
Tom, I don't think we're capable of answering that, and I think Nate had said, I mean, obviously there's pressure, I mean, there's certain pressures, but you really need to talk to them.
And each hydrant is rated for pressure. They paint the color that's on it tells you how much pressure it has. So they do have standards for it.
Yeah.
But also, I think what Sean was saying last time too is that, you know, there's a big structure fire. You want to get the most water on it you can at once. If it's a smaller fire, like a shed or a car fire, then those hydrants would be sufficient to do that. It's just, again, analyzing the fire itself. It's like you want to put it out as efficiently, as fast as you can. You don't want to sit there and wait and have to hook up another one when you know it's not going to be.
Understandable, yeah. I just want to be sure that the fire company had what they needed. So as long as they're satisfied.
Thank you, Mike, thank you.
All right, thanks, Mike. All right, we did public comments, right? Town administrator's report.
I don't have a lot today. I received the check for the door from the insurance company on Tuesday. So after the deductible, it was like $7,100. So that recovered the emergency repair on that Saturday, and then the other one. I also got a PDQ invoice today for the
North Station.
North Station, the Elizabeth Ann, and that was like $1,000 less than what they had estimated. So that was 31 instead of 42.
Yeah.
So that's good. Other than that, I don't have anything.
Okay. Road Commissioner's report. I have a written report from the Road Commissioner. And it says that there isn't much to note to mention. In response to a concern brought to our attention, we cut a large limb from a tree overhanging Hall Road. We also confirmed that a dead end sign exists at the beginning of the Hall Road. It's been necessary to regularly check and clear several problem culverts due to beaver activity. We've had multiple instances of frozen drainage occurring on various roads throughout the town. We treat them as they arise with salt and sand. Although a state road, we installed a temporary bump sign on the lump of ice in the northbound line of the river road. And he says, please feel free to contact the office with any problems. Codes officer, same thing. 1 building permit, residential roof, solar, 3 building permits, 2 internal, 1 septic system. Home occupation at 38 Requested Pine, training for canines, not a kennel, mainly indoors, basement, not several canines at one time. And incidents, a mobile home on Hedgebridge Road with children, allegedly no heat. Learned later that the family had repaired the heat, no action required. And a home on Brunswick Road has water storm runoff from a butter. It appears at this time to be a civil matter between the 2 owners. That's the code report. EMS.
Hey, Woolwich, so far this month, we've had 23 calls with 22 patients, transported 17, called MC1 for mutual aid 9 times. It's been a busy month. I attended a 3-day FEMA Public Information Officer training last week. It was very exciting, 3 10-hour days. And, so for public information for that's more of an EMA type thing. It was actually interesting. Also on the EMA side, I got a notice from county that they're offering, an ICS 402, which is the one that town executive leaders and appointed and elected. I'm not sure where we stand, if everybody's had that. But for NIMS compliance to receive federal money, every elected and appointed official senior official is required to have that.
Which one is that?
It's with,
Yeah, I believe have you done that?
I know Tommy's done it.
I think we did it years ago.
What is it called, ICS what?
402 is the number, it's a incident management for senior officials.
Do we have to updo?
I don't know, yeah, does it-
everyone?
You don't have to take it again.
That's right, this is the one that doesn't expire. So we went to Phippsburg, if you recall, I don't know if you guys recall, but some years ago, we went to Phippsburg.
I did the same, Bill Longley did it.
Yeah.
and
So if there's somebody that needs it, that is on February 13th, I believe, it's in back. So I can give you the flyer if somebody needs that. Also, another ICS thing, I got notice from Phil Davis that they're getting a new, basically ID system called Salamander. They got a grant to do this.
Right.
And that's starting to take place, starting the training for it on Friday to use this system. So that helps keep track of all resources for the towns and the people who do it. Also gives ID so you know that you're official, but also skills and training levels of people so that the county can call on people better if needed and know where things are and our equipment. So the training for using that system starts Friday, and
Who needs to know how to use it?
Basically,
Just you
us, yeah.
basically the people who have crews, and if there's if we had a warming center that we had to register volunteers for, there's ways to do that on the fly and things like that. So yeah.
So so you said something about equipment, so like this system knows that that Woolwich has this, and
We
this.
have
and-
2 FEMA Type 2 ambulances,
Yeah, okay.
which sets the capabilities. Type 2 is advanced life support that's capable of being.
So they have an
on equipment.
inventory of sort of
Yeah,
the.
so
yeah,
it basically
okay.
helps keep an inventory of all the
Okay.
equipment the towns have, and also personnel and their training levels for
okay.
things. So that's starting to roll out. And that's my report.
Thank you. Dale, you have a question?
Danny, you have a question?
Dale had a question.
Yes.
Today we were over there looking at the new air compressor and electrical and all that stuff. There's no snow tires on Rescue 2.
Right, the snow tires were picked up today to be taken in. Donnie currently is ill, so they are going on as soon as he is better. So,
This is the middle of January.
yes, we've been trying to get them on and arrange to pick them up. We now have them back from Mid-Coast Excavation, and they're going on, and we haven't been taking Rescue 2 out during snowstorms because of it. So, it's just, yeah, they just haven't gotten on, and we haven't had, apart from this snowstorm this week, we haven't had huge. So, but they are going on there, and we picked them up today so that to make it easier to get those in place. It's something I've been working to get done, so.
Thanks.
Okay, Sean.
9 calls so far this month. Thankfully, nothing too extravagant. We've had a couple accidents, one fairly severe accident that Debbie spoke of earlier. Assisted on that for several hours, very cold night. Yeah, the updates on the grant, the compressor and all that equipment has arrived. It's in the station. Just waiting for the technician to come back to plan on install and however you guys ran up this morning.
Would it be possible that you've got 50 amp 220 available right there, single phase? Would it be possible to ship this one back and get one that would,
So that's what I needed to know from you guys, is what do you want me to ask them?
well, if we could send this one back and just get one that was single phase, 220.
Okay.
We've got plenty of electricity to run it. It's gonna cost several $1,000s to run. We've got 3-phase in the basement. The other alternative is to put this one in the basement.
Yeah,
Right,
that can't happen.
so since we met, I did hear back from the electrician that would, and he said that it would not exceed $3,500. So just a number.
Still, $3,500 is a lot of money
It
to
is.
spend when we can get
Yeah.
the compressor with the same
Yeah.
horsepower and everything
Yeah.
in 220.
So what that would include, as you all know, is they would have to start at the panel, put a new 3-phase breaker, run all new wire all the way back to where it is, put a new shut-off, box.
Where's the breaker block? Where's the main?
It's in the corner of the main foundation.
Right here.
Way over by the,
Okay.
yeah. But he said it would not exceed $3,500, but anyway, that's Sean, when we look at the quote, it says installed, and we shared it again today, that we didn't see any exclusions.
Yeah.
So when you would ask a month ago, do we have 3-phase, like, yeah, and but they quoted it before that.
I know.
So did somebody come out? I mean,
I will, like I said, I'm asking you guys what you want me to ask them. They came and looked at it, and that's what, when I asked what kind of wiring, that's what I told them, so.
yeah, it's too bad, because right now you do have a 50 amp.
Right.
It's all ready to go.
Breaker
And one of
right
the, one of those options on that.
I know what you know.
Yeah, well, no, right, we're not supposed to be electricians.
Yeah, I don't
anymore.
know.
One of those options on that chart though was
I see that.
7 horsepower, single phase, and it required 40 amp, and we already have 50, so we were sort of like, we haven't paid, we haven't
Right,
opened, we
no,
haven't
I
opened
agree.
the box.
Yeah, I have the 2 bills today from them, and I was waiting to hear tonight,
Yeah.
so when I called them and say, hey,
I wouldn't think
What's the
it'd be a
deal?
big deal for them to just ship another one and have the truck pick that one up at the same time.
yeah,
Yeah, or, yeah, I mean, what's that?
Did we pay for freight delivery?
we haven't paid a dime.
It's
Is there freight
in the
delivery?
It's all
proposal.
in, it's all in the quote.
But I gotta say that too, that's right, we haven't paid $1.
Right.
And we're at this point where the package has never been opened.
Right.
And even if they had to absorb some freight charge,
Yeah.
it seemed like it would be better than the electrical charge.
Right.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree.
Even if we had to pay freight one way,
Wow.
that would be a lot cheaper than spending $3,500
I think
to
so
get
too, yeah.
the wire
I
on.
mean, I don't think we should have to pay for
Well, I mean,
it.
I don't think we
They
should
sold,
pay at all.
they sold us the wrong device.
Right,
I mean, they can ask us what we have for power, but that's not our job, right?
Right,
You know,
yeah.
and they had one already there, and they can come see it, and they didn't say, look, you guys have to have an electrical upgrade to use this new one, or we have to order a different one, so that's kind of what we're hoping.
Okay, we're just in hopes that they'll just.
yeah, no, that's what I wanted to know, so
Try
I'll call.
that. and-
Where'd it come from? I mean, what's?
Bergeron, right?
Bergeron.
Is that in Maine?
I believe that unit came from Massachusetts, if I remember correctly.
East Coast.
Yeah.
The shipping was $2,200.
What?
Yeah.
I'm looking at.
Half of the cost of the,
No, well, no, it's 40,
Right, so I mean, so,
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, you know, like.
The shipping was half of it.
We shouldn't have to pay for
Half
the
of what?
shipping.
So it's
He
gonna
said
be
it was-
22 to ship it back
he
and
said it's
another
$2,200.
No, I know, it's,
So it says
the
in the
whole
quote, it
project's
says shipping-
49,000, right?
Freight charge, $2,250.
Right, so the whole item is $49,800, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just had a,
half of what?
I just had a large
No, it's 49.
wood furnace delivered
went to
from
some-
Oregon, and it was $226.
Things
With
happen.
with a liftgate truck, it came FedEx on a FedEx truck with a liftgate.
Yeah. Sean, how'd you get it in the building?
The guy, the delivery guy was very nice, he had an electric,
Oh.
hand truck, and he,
So it was only the bottles that showed
the
up?
bottles came that Monday.
Oh,
And,
okay.
They
that's
were
what-
left here,
Okay.
and I brought them by hand, but, yeah, that was, yeah, it was very, the delivery guy was very nice.
Okay, anything else?
No, so I just actually got an email, I just looked at my email, I got the confirmation, so the other grant that we received, the Leary Foundation, that we're gonna be getting the Combi tool for, that's the Jaws of Life tool. That is, I'm learning as we go, that one's they're very self-sufficient, they do everything, they order everything for you, they send it to you, you don't have anything to do with it. So they gave me an update today, something to sign, and they suspect we should have our equipment by September. So it's 62 grantees nationwide, we were one of 62, so that's pretty good, I think.
yeah. Is this to replace what we have?
No, well, this is, yes and no. It's an upgrade. It's to put a tool at the north station on engine 3 to kind of spread our equipment out a little bit better and try to locate things so we have better capabilities on that end of town. And it's a battery tool, so we already hit. It runs off Milwaukee batteries. Everything we have is Milwaukee, so you know it'll just be thrown in the truck and it'll be ready to go. So it's a kind of a goal that we've had for a while and been able to achieve it. So.
And
Congratulations.
that's a fully funded?
Yeah, that's fully funded. Yeah,
Thank you,
yeah.
chasing that down.
And then, the other grant I just found out on last week, we did get approved for the forestry grant, so there's $86 or $8,800 worth of equipment that is being ordered. So that's going to be a matching grant, so $4,400 the town pays, $4,400 the state pays. That's the same forestry grant I've got in the last 3 years. So once I get that paperwork to me, then I'll forward that to you guys, but that's gonna be for pagers, radios, 6 more sets of PPE for forestry, and some replacing hose that we had blown and hose testing. So So, good progress. So.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Sean. Moving on, old business. Dave's Ferry Bulkhead.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Nice to get through the first anniversary of the last January storm.
You there, Nikki? Yes, I'm here. This is a mildly unorthodox. I sent a message to a colleague of mine at Gulf of Maine Research, Nikki Yannick, who's helping us work on the grant proposal. And when I put in the calendar for the meeting tonight, there was a Teams link attached. She thought it was a meeting from there. So she's down in Portland right now.
Hi.
So I apologize, everybody. So I called her and put her on speakerphone real quick. So Nikki will talk in a couple minutes just to give an overview about the grant and the process and that sort of thing. I just wanted to give everyone an update sort of on where we're at. We kind of took our time from the last time I was here and pulling together some more numbers. I printed out some of the grant application pages. This is her area of expertise, not mine. The permitting end, design end is where I exist. So again, I'll let her handle that, but I think there was like 60 pages in the application when you go into the spreadsheet of everything. And I'm really fortunate that Gulf of Maine Research and Nikki are able to help us with this. But I did print out on the last page, which shows some of the overall costs. These are broken down through the quote that was provided from Reed & Reed, and then the quote from Flycatcher, myself, Tim Forrester is an environmental consultant, and also the effort for Gulf of Maine, which is most of that would end up being in match kind. So tonight, what we're really looking for, what we're hopeful to achieve is simply a continued go-ahead from the selectmen to move forward and apply for the grant. It would not be any burden at this point on the town until a grant is awarded, and then we know we're sort of safe to proceed. And I think Nikki can fill us in on some more of the details there. So.
What we would have to do is we'd have to put a warrant article on for the April town meeting to give us up to $30,000 in matching funds for this.
When would you anticipate, and maybe this is a Nikki question, when would you anticipate knowing whether we got the grant or not?
Can you hear that, Nikki?
Yes, I can. So the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program through FEMA is the grant that we would be applying to. It is a non-competitive grant, which means as long as the application is clear and the project is eligible, we would be approved for that funding. They are currently anticipating between 8 to 12 weeks for processing. That is because there is a much higher volume of these grants being processed with the devastation currently in Los Angeles with the fires. It's also the same funding that was supporting Florida after the hurricanes, and also North Carolina when they had their storms back last summer. So they're anticipating approximately 12 weeks for approval.
Okay. Thanks.
Absolutely.
And so if that was the case, construction would be this season if we were awarded, or what are you thinking?
The hope and desire would be to move forward as quickly as possible. We'd love to have the bulkhead rebuilt and everything back in place for
We'd have to put it out
for the season.
Well, the other thing is, David, don't we have authority, like under the matching grant?
Yeah.
Couldn't we just change the number under the matching grant article?
We could.
And leave it loose because we don't really know.
But we'd have to anticipate the money that if Sean gets that grant, gets that equipment before June, we can use the existing
That's this year's money.
This money.
Then
This year's
next year,
money.
yeah, right.
How much do we have?
I thought we raised it to, I don't know, I keep thinking it's 40, am I wrong? Is it 40?
I think we raised it to 40, so
yeah.
hopefully.
For matching grants?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would, if they got it before June, we'd have to use this year's money too, as long as we had 30,000. Technically, it's a town, it's part of our town infrastructure, right? So
The town's applying?
We could use some of the money that we have for building repair and that sort of thing if we had to.
Well, I think,
Just to tie it over, you know, we'd still put an article on the town meeting warrant to raise the money. And if we didn't need it, we could just dismiss the article.
right, if they were to find out before, so Kim, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've used a lot of the matching grant this year.
No.
And Sean's looking for 4,000 or 5,000 and another 2,000 or 3,000, but, so if it's 40 and they found out in May, we're
Right.
still in this fiscal year.
We'd be okay.
We could actually.
We'll figure it out one way or the other.
Yeah,
Well-
okay.
We'll figure it out.
Go ahead.
So,
But I do think we'd have to go out to bid. I don't see how we could have a $100,000 project in town and not put it out to bid, because everybody would want to know that, you know, we got the best price on it. We could make it a real short bid window, and we could require everybody to come to a pre-bid meeting, which would hold right down there at the end of the road so they could see what we're doing. We did the same thing out here when we did all this work out here.
Yep.
We required all the contractors to send somebody to the pre-bid meeting. One contractor sent a truck driver, and the guy says, I'm just here because the boss said he needed somebody here. He said, I ain't got a clue what we're doing. So, obviously, that guy didn't get the bid.
Yeah, he showed up the day before too.
Yeah.
It is also a requirement of all federal grants that there is a democratic process, that there has been a bid demonstrated. Depending on what organization is selected by the town is up to you, but that is part of the process to demonstrate that there was a public notification of this project.
Good.
So did you have a question, Allison?
sort of. I don't know whether this qualifies. Don't we have the authority to take money if there's a declared disaster?
We do.
Right, and
Oh, I
this,
see, out of the.
yeah.
That was actually a declare, I was thinking of that too, but I was thinking that it's kind of so far past it, but it did
Yeah.
It was
did
for
happen
this
during
storm.
the
yeah.
It's the
January
probable
storm.
cause of having to do this
Right.
now, yeah.
Right.
So we.
So it sounds like we can cover it.
I feel like we're on good
Yeah.
ground right now. If you were awarded, if it was awarded today and we had to go to the bid process and get going and whatever, I think we're okay.
I think we're.
And you're right, between that
We'll figure
50
it
and
out.
that 40.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Tim.
Yeah.
So there is another component to this that I think would be really helpful in this particular conversation. This is a reimbursement grant program, so effectively the town makes the upfront cost, and then up to 75% of that total cost for the total project can be reimbursed. The way that we have budgeted this out, estimating roughly $112,000 for total project start to finish. That includes all the materials and everyone's time, all of the permitting. The net cost after the reimbursement and the in-kind match funding from myself, Read and Read, and yourself would only be about $13,000 to the town. So effectively, they could make the project happen and then go through the grant process and still be reimbursed fully for that project.
Oh.
No, that's even better.
Can you tell me what Read and Read is doing?
They're doing all the work.
The work.
Oh,
The physical
okay.
work.
The work.
Yeah, so the existing bulkhead would be completely removed and
Okay.
rebuilt, basically.
Okay.
And the elevation of it, the front elevation will come up at probably right around 3 feet.
Okay. And does that involve the NERPA permits or the permit by rule and? all
Yep, this
that
would
stuff?
fall under a permit by rule
Yeah,
of
okay.
Maine DEP.
Right.
And actually, it's most likely exempt from the Army Corps because it predates 1968, so.
Really? How
And
old
this-
is it?
The bulkhead, it's
Yeah.
over 200 years old.
You should have an anniversary party.
And that's what you're handling, right?
Yeah.
You're handling the
Yeah.
permitting process and this,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
And so the quick question, how long would it take to do it?
To do the
Well, I
actual
get-
work?
Yeah, the actual, like, how long is the project? A month or a week? or-
It's at the discretion of Read and Read.
Okay.
It's a dead-end street, close to their shop. They'll, once awarded, they would pick away at it probably. If it's in the middle of winter, it would go a little slower, but I bet they could do it all in less than a month.
Yeah.
Do you anticipate delays in getting the permits from DEP?
Not permit by rules.
Okay.
Those are still pretty quick.
Okay.
Yeah,
Still a couple weeks, right, or something? I mean, pretty quick.
it
right?
is,
Yeah.
yep.
Yep. Yep, right. Dale just noted that they had labor for 2 weeks.
Pretty fast.
Right, but then there's machine work.
Right,
Yep,
but let me give you a rough idea.
maybe not all at once, but.
Yeah. No, I think,
So it sounds like, we can get this, maybe next steps, just talking out loud, we finalize this, submit it, if we're awarded, maybe then we would look to send the bid out? Would that be appropriate?
Yeah.
sounds right.
And is that, and we'd send it in, like Kim would be the point of, right, it's coming from the town, right?
I would believe so,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
Right, well, I think we do.
All the bids would have to be
Right.
sent to the town office.
Right, and the grant would actually be coming from us as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah. The town would be the entity awarded the grant.
right,
If you folks recall, it's very similar to the park work or anything.
Yeah.
You know, we had to do the work, we front the money, it comes out of surplus, we get it back.
yeah.
And then
The
we,
whole cash flow thing.
yeah, that's right. It's all money moving around.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. Keep moving forward.
Keep us posted.
All right.
That's great.
Charge
Very good.
forward, charge on.
Will do, yeah, thank you all very much.
Thanks.
We'll be in
If
touch.
it's helpful, I can schedule a meeting with the town and we can just get it all done right then and there.
Okay, yeah.
Absolutely,
Okay,
okay. Great,
well, thank you everyone.
Thank you very much.
thanks everyone.
Thanks, Tim.
Sorry for the delay in getting back to you, Tim, about.
Oh, no, that's
Yeah,
okay.
you were on the
Yeah.
agenda, you just didn't know
It's-
that you were.
Everything in my world's happening kind of fast and furious these days, so.
Well, that's good.
Marla, you're up.
All right. Oh, how many households do we have?
How many households?
How many households, how many tax bills will we be sending out? That was the question about this
Tax
flyer.
bills.
spoke with
Well,
Candace
it's,
today.
Oh, okay.
okay, good. I'm like, it's gonna be less because a lot of people
Right,
pay.
well, that's what I
for the
mean,
year,
yeah,
So,
yeah.
I was shocked to
Good.
hear that so many people pay their taxes.
we like
in
that.
advance, like you do.
Oh, okay,
I
okay.
can tell you that last October, I counted the number of houses on this side of the Route 1 for an argument about, with the DOT about closing off the road and everything. And last October, there was 335, I think I counted, on this side of Route 1. There's been several added since then, because the subdivisions down there are quite busy. So, to give you an idea.
So anyway, good evening. You all know me, I'm Marla Davis, and I'm representing the age-friendly communities of the Lower Kennebec this evening. Both Tommy and Allison have been involved in this organization too. And I have more information that I'll give you afterwards, but essentially, one of the potential projects for our organization involves transportation. Transportation volunteer nature. So what I'm here for tonight is to engage you in a conversation about how the town might be able to help us get this off the ground. It's essentially the recruitment of a coordinator of drivers and riders. And it all happens kind of at the same time. We're uncertain about what the need is in our community, but we know there is a need. The depth and breadth of it is yet to be revealed, but I would like to propose that one way that you could help us, and there are many others I'm sure, is to support us putting an enclosure in the tax bill in February for the purpose of letting people know that this is a potential project and having them identify themselves or calling about questions regarding such a program. And Kim and Allison, I think, have already talked about this, and I'm, with your permission, I would like to, raise the money needed to print and cut these enclosures and to assist with the mailing.
I told him that Fred Carl had this tradition of if you were putting something in the tax bill, you had to help stuff that. So, Although he brought donuts, I don't know whether.
Well, you know me, I'll be bringing the carrots.
Yeah, I know.
DoorDash.
Anyway, a volunteer transportation program has been very successful in other parts of our state and even around the country. And there are some important actors involved in this, AARP being one, the University of Maine, the Maine Center on Aging, lots of positive momentum to help seniors particularly get to their doctor's appointments, to their groceries, to their errands, and to social events. So it could be nice, and we have a few people that I've already identified here in Woolwich who are being driven by People Plus because they don't have a program any closer. So we'd like to see if we can determine the need and put a program in place, the resources for which are already supported by these partners that we have. For instance, there's a very, I would say, exquisite software that helps to manage this whole thing. We need a coordinator to manage the software, but the software is already available to us at no cost. And also a lot of excellent resources from the University of Maine.
So who do you envision seeing running this program? And before you answer that, I'll tell you, there is definitely a need here in Woolwich. My next door neighbor, who's 90, got in a car accident last spring. His daughter lives in Scarborough, his son lives in Oregon.
Oh,
I trucked him around for 2-3 weeks until he finally got another car.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be driving anyways, but that's another story altogether. But that's the one thing I think people worry about in this town. There's no taxi in Woolwich, there's no bus service in
Exactly.
Woolwich. You know, what do you do when you can't drive?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you asked a question about coordination. Because all of these other pieces are in place, we need a volunteer coordinator who does the matching up and making sure that it happens. It isn't a full-time thing, it's a very part-time thing, but we need to find the right passionate person to do that. And then.
Will they be compensated in some way? Or
No,
will
it is a
totally
totally, and this, I know this is a barrier, but it is a volunteer-driven, volunteer-executed program.
And what about insurance? If somebody volunteers to drive people, do they have to have something?
They have their own insurance, and then there is a excess insurance that comes to us through the University of Maine.
Extra coverage.
Extra coverage.
And then there's some training.
There's some training required for
For the drivers.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, there also, the other part that's new-ish is the mandated reporting. Like if you're seeing, if you're seeing somebody who's, some evidence of abuse, Marlon probably knows more, you're a mandated reporter. So, that may be a barrier for drivers, right? How much involvement they want to have.
That's true, but that is what makes it a safe program.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely, we have an orientation all designed. Many of us have gone through the orientation, so we know what it's like, and you'll see some of the materials. And then the mandatory reporting training is an hour long, and it really lays out what the role of the driver is in protecting their riders.
So the first step is in theory, send out the mailer,
Yeah.
determine the exact need, is that the idea?
Right.
And then from there,
We
what-
take it, yeah.
Yeah, and at the
takes-
same time, we're putting feelers out about
drivers.
potential drivers, potential coordinator.
A
It's like a
coordinator.
three-legged stool,
Yeah.
trying to do all three at the same time. You can't do this longitudinally. But the first thing is to, shake the tree a little bit and see what kind of feedback we get from this little flyer, which is being designed. And will be very simple. Just give a little bit about the program and have people call me. And that way I can actually keep some data about what people's inquiries are, and then follow up with people if they're potential drivers or riders.
And then also, if you know, we all know a lot of people, right? If there's somebody that we can think about amongst our collective contacts, that might be a good coordinator.
Yeah, and I think that's another good reason for you all to know about this, is because you know this town, and you know where the people are who need the need their rides. You know where the potential drivers might be, someone who wants to volunteer a little bit to contribute to the community. So, yeah, all of that.
So you indicated permission to fund. Do you know how much funding do you need, or how much funding? I know you. I think. Yeah, you were talking about donations or fundraising, or
To print the font, to print the inserts.
No, I'm trying to raise it through our age-friendly
I see.
organization, which has a little pot of grant funding money that they may be able to.
Was that email that you sent?
They may be able to provide us what we need to print and cut the enclosure for the tax bill. So I say that because I didn't want you to think that we were expecting.
Well, I wasn't necessarily thinking that. I was thinking like, what's the dollar value that you need to try to raise?
Yeah, I know. They're looking. Our co-chairs are looking right now to see where there might be a little pot of money.
Something like this also works into other things, because if we had an organization like this in Woolwich, they could identify people that maybe we could reach out to and get them to apply for the heating fund and stuff like that. I mean, we have plenty of people don't ask for it because you know they're afraid of the stigma and all of that. But there's a lot of people in this town that could use a hand.
Can you think of other ways off the top of your heads that you might be able to help get something like this?
Why don't we make a webpage on the town website that describes
Yay!
The other thing,
that's free.
the church, we've been in touch with specifically with 2 churches in town. If we can sort of convert that to a flyer, and I can also send it to Pastor Willett and Pastor Poor.
Fantastic.
And I don't. And there's there's the two other churches that Dave's Ferry and the Baptist one.
Yeah.
We can reach out to them.
Really good ideas.
Yeah.
And if there was a wrap card type thing or something along that size, that could be something that could be carried in the ambulances to share with patient.
Yes, and eventually we would get to that, Tommy.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we're doing low impact. Once
This is what
it's
the volunteer
set,
coordinator will do.
like we'll put a sign up downstairs with your permission that says interested in volunteering to drive someone, or do you need a ride? Those sorts of cues, and that will help us to gather further information. And town meeting too might be a good place to have a table or to have a 2-minute spiel about it.
It'd be okay. I mean, if we wanted to do, like a short thing at the beginning of town meeting, is that something we could do?
I think yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah.
When's town meeting this year?
I'm glad you brought that
We
up.
know it's in the spring of 25.
Oh, yay!
We nailed that down.
Something's never changed.
We have not nailed that
We're
down yet.
hoping to do it in April, but we don't have a date as yet.
And Tommy, do you operate the website?
I wanted to. I don't want to take.
Tommy and I co-share.
I don't want to take credit for it.
So we might want to do something simple while we're in this data gathering phase.
And these are the slides?
Yes, here's some slides that we've developed about the program.
That we decided we didn't need to show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is great. Thanks for putting these out.
You're welcome, Allison. That's all I've got. Ken,
Georgetown and Aroostook are up and running.
I'll grab one.
Yeah.
That's all right.
I'll make a copy. Don't worry
And
about it.
I think so.
maybe I could spend 10 seconds with you about the enclosure and what it might look like, and make it easy, and then we could talk about the details.
Did Candace give you any indication of when she was planning on mailing out the tax bills?
No.
We're trying sometime in February.
Mid-February was what I heard, but I can't remember who I heard that from.
I think I was one of the phone calls. I
We're trying to, get them out probably maybe the second week of
She
February.
did tell me that as of today, there were 1,700.
1,700, okay.
1709.
But the other thing is the sheriff's office, somebody also is volunteering to do the background checks for the drivers.
Yeah.
And the, right, is that the sheriff's office or is that?
Actually, now those are being done through University of
Okay.
Maine, but with backup from Bath.
Okay, oh,
Bath
bad, okay,
PD.
okay, all right.
Okay, oh, I think it's.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yes, sir.
Appreciate your interest.
Kim, do you have anything under new business other?
Did you not?
I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Oh my God, yes.
Second.